none of us are in this to get rich in the nonprofit world. And so it is, as a leader, I have to be very intentional on creating an environment and a culture that is a place that people want to be.
Hey guys, welcome to the Little Fish podcast. I'm Joel, and today I'm excited. We've got CEO of Neuro Challenge Foundation, Robyn Faucy-Washington, with us. And it's great because today we're going to look at behind the curtain of a nonprofit in town, and a local nonprofit, and it's going to be good. So thanks for joining us today, Robyn.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me and having the opportunity to talk about Neuro Challenge.
For sure. Yeah, it's good to be here with you. I like to start off talking about, so just everybody knows what it is that Neuro Challenge does.
Sure.
So if you can start by just giving us a explanation, the Neuro Challenge Foundation for Parkinson's, what is it?
So Neuro Challenge Foundation for Parkinson's is a nonprofit organization that provides education, support, and therapeutic programs to people with Parkinson's and their caregivers. Okay. And so our organization started about 11 years ago, and it started here in Sarasota, and we've now grown to serve 6 counties. Wow. And so there's quite a need. And one of the things I always like people to know is all of our programs and services are provided at no charge.
Nice. And so about how many people are you serving approximately?
So in the past 12 months, we have served over 2,700 individuals.
Wow.
Yes.
Very cool.
And we haven't even really scratched the surface when it comes to the need that is out there, the number of people with Parkinson's. We estimate that in our community, and so say in a 4-county area from Charlotte to Pinellas, there's well over 10,000 people with Parkinson's.
Wow.
So
at different stages.
Various, absolutely. And you mentioned the stages. Parkinson's has many stages. And so someone can live well and be mobile with minimal symptoms for years. Someone can live with Parkinson's up to 20 or 30 years. Wow. So it's a long disease. It truly is a journey, and it takes a team and a family to go through this journey together.
Yeah, I bet it does. Wow. So for you, how did you end up getting to the point where you became CEO of Neuro Challenge? Like you said, the organization started 12 years ago. So what was your journey in getting to the place where you're at now?
So I became the CEO a little over 3 years ago, and I was at a place in my career where I was ready for the next step. I was ready to be in a leadership role, and I was very happy where I was, but I knew that I was ready for the next step. And this happened to be an opportunity that was available in the community. And the most ironic thing about how I ended up at Neuro Challenge is that when I first knew that this was my predecessor, Judith Bell, was retiring, I was curious as to what my job security would look like because I knew nothing about Parkinson's. So what I mean is, because I knew nothing about Parkinson's, I had no idea how prevalent of a disease it was in our community.
Wow.
So when I started doing research and realized, oh my gosh, this is a disease that affects a lot of people. And because it's a long-term disease, it affects not just the person, but their spouse, their children, their families, neighbors. And that the work that was being done at Neuro Challenge was so important, and the need was only going to increase and grow. So I was fortunate. I went through a very rigorous selection process and was fortunate to be the person who was chosen. And I'm often asked, because I do have a deep abiding passion for our mission, which is to improve the quality of life of people with Parkinson's and their caregivers. So people assume that I have a personal connection, and I have to tell you that initially I didn't, and now I have over 2,700 reasons every year to do this job.
Right. So your experience was, did you have some experience before that in the nonprofit world? Okay.
So the majority of my career has been in the nonprofit world or nonprofit management and fundraising. Okay. I have worked for-profit and worked in sales, and I think that's helped me tremendously in my role here. But I do like helping other people, and I like fundraising. I'm one of those people that actually enjoys that.
One of those crazy people.
Those crazy people. I really do enjoy it because the being able to meet the needs of a donor and fulfilling their wishes and improving the lives of people in the process, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So it's something I get to do every day.
Yeah, that is cool. And that is a good point to bring up is so far in the podcast, we've had some businesses and you and I were talking before about there's obviously there's some similarities between running a small business, running a nonprofit, but there's a lot of differences.
Sure.
So one of the differences for those that are listening, they're in the nonprofit world or interested in going into being a leader in the nonprofit world, what would you say are one of the biggest differences in running a nonprofit?
So to me, the biggest difference between a nonprofit and a for-profit business is who actually makes money. So if there's a surplus at the end of the year, if a nonprofit organization has a surplus at the end of the year, the money is reinvested in the organization, in the mission, in their programs and services. In a for-profit business, the surplus is then most likely going to go to shareholders or the CEO or board members. So all of our board members and nonprofits are volunteers. They're volunteers. And we have 11 board members. None of them are compensated. And they have a wide variety of backgrounds. So I think that the nonprofit world definitely can learn a lot from the business world. And we are, I like to say that nonprofit is a tech status, not a business model. Yeah. And so for us to thrive, we need to make money, and we want to make money and exceed our goals, because that just means our mission grows and we serve more people.
Right. So you look at it as a business in that sense.
Yes.
But where the profit goes. And then you mentioned your board members.
Yes.
Do they have the final say in a lot of decisions? How does that typically work?
Sure. So the board of directors for any organization, their charge is to set the vision at a very high level, to govern, to make sure that the organization is fiscally sound and responsible. That is really what the board of directors, what they're tasked with. The operational matters, that's for me and my staff to handle on a daily basis. I'm very fortunate that my board operates in that way, where they allow us to do our work daily and they don't get involved in the operational side of things.
Right. Yeah. I bet that could be challenging. Well, let's talk about your staff a little bit, your team.
Sure.
So how many employees do you have at Neuro Challenge?
So there's 8 of us right now, which is really exciting. When I started, there were 4 of us. Okay. So we've grown quite a bit. We just recently in June added our very first development director, which is a big step for any nonprofit organization. Up until this point, I've done all the fundraising activities. And so now this is going to allow me to focus on more strategic, visionary, long-term initiatives to sustain the organization. So we also added a business development manager, because we are exploring earned income opportunities, which are additional non-traditional opportunities for a nonprofit to be able to generate income. So half of our staff are program staff. We have a program director and 3 care advisors. And those are the people that do the work. They're the heart of Neuro Challenge Foundation for Parkinson's.
They're on the feet on the ground, out with the people.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's really who we are. We are the local go-to boots on the ground organization to support people with Parkinson's. Yeah. When someone in Manatee, Sarasota, Charlotte, Pinellas, Highlands, or Marion County calls Neuro Challenge Foundation, they're going to get a person who's familiar with their community, who can sit down with them and spend time with them and give them individualized guidance on how to manage this disease.
Yeah, that's cool. And one of the things I love about what you do and how you do it is that care advisor piece. So, yes. And we've talked about it before. I know there are a lot of families that find out maybe they have Parkinson's, someone in the family has Parkinson's, they don't know where to turn, they don't know what to do, but they can pick up the phone and have an appointment with a care advisor that will walk them through, right? Tell us a little bit about that, because I thought that was really interesting.
Sure, our care advisors are truly the jewel in our crown. So think about the last time you or one of your children went to the doctor. I mean, you're looking at what you see the doctor 5 to 15 minutes, typically in a visit.
Right.
And so imagine being told that you have Parkinson's disease in 5 to 15 minutes. Just think of everything that would come to your mind, all the questions.
Yeah.
Physicians do not have the time that it truly takes to answer all of those questions and to explain the long-term trajectory and expectations of this disease. So we pride ourselves on being a resource to physicians. It's why Neuro Challenge was started. Our founder, Dr. Dean Sutherland, and his wife, Doreen, well, Dr. Sutherland would diagnose someone with Parkinson's and say, well, here's a prescription, I'll see you in 6 months, and knew that just was not effective.
Yeah.
So anyone, and this could be the person with Parkinson's, their caregiver, a friend, it doesn't matter. They can call us, they can schedule an appointment with a care advisor. It can be in person, it can be on the phone. Sometimes people just want to send emails back and forth because they're just not even ready to say out loud that they have Parkinson's. Whatever it takes, we are there and our care advisors are there to provide them with information and options for programming for them to be part of our community. We created a community for people with Parkinson's and their caregivers to come together where they're understood and where they can be comfortable and not judged and not worried about their tremors and does somebody not understand why they're shaking or why they can't walk.
Right. Important.
So our care advisors, they lead the charge when it comes to that. They are the boots on the ground. They're the face in the community, and they are the people that are guiding thousands of people through this journey. And so we have a pretty amazing team. We have 3 care advisors and, as I said, a program director, and they are very dedicated.
Yeah. I mean, the time we've spent working with you, I feel the same way. But let me ask you a little bit about that. Have you had any challenges, or what would you say would maybe be a challenge or issue you've run into with just leading employees, leading
Sure.
people in general, whether it's care advisors, whether it's program director, whether it's working with the people that you're serving with Parkinson's,
Sure.
whether it's your board? What are some things that maybe you have learned
Sure.
over the course of your work?
Well, none of us are in this to get rich in the nonprofit world. And so it is, as a leader, I have to be very intentional on creating an environment and a culture that is a place that people want to be, because they probably could make more money in a private sector job or in the healthcare industry. And so we want the best, and attracting and retaining top talent with the resources that we have, that can be a challenge. And I think I speak for many other nonprofit leaders as well.
Yeah.
Another challenge that we face, obviously, is awareness, just getting the word out. When I meet someone who has Parkinson's in Sarasota or Manatee, that's where I live in Manatee County, actually. Okay. But if I meet someone, particularly in those 2 counties, who has Parkinson's and who has never heard of us, I take that personal, and we have to do better. We have to do better. People need to know that we're here. We are, again, a free resource. We do not, there is no insurance involved. We do not get any government funding or support. And so with all of those things being said, awareness becomes a challenge. And then the other thing that, again, I think that most of us face is always funding. We are reliant on the generosity of individuals. Our number one income source is individual donors. And so we are selling hope. We are asking them for their faith and their confidence in Neuro Challenge Foundation to make substantial gifts to allow us to provide these programs and services to people at no charge. So so when it comes to staffing and awareness and funding, those are the 3 things that across the board I have seen in many organizations, including my own.
Yeah, no, that's a good summary. Back to the staffing part, because I think people will find it interesting. You said, I want to create an environment, I want to create a space where people want to be, because maybe they don't make as much money as they could make in another industry.
Sure.
So what's one way you do that, or you try to do that?
Well, empowering our employees, empowering and flexibility. And I say those 2 things. We actually are in the process of going through a strategic plan. And when the staff were surveyed as the things of what makes Neuro Challenge great, those are some of the things that came up. And so flexible work hours. We don't have traditional work hours. We have events that are in the evenings or on the weekends. And I have an amazing team that will go do whatever needs to be done, whether it's 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. And so having that flexibility, if you need to go and have lunch with your child at school, then go do that. And so that's something that I feel that I do have control over. And setting the tone for an environment where people are empowered, so their ideas are heard and they're able to take action on them, and they're able to be their best self. And so I'm grateful that the board allows me to do those things. And so I want to, I hope and I aim to create that type of environment.
Yeah. That's a good reminder for me too. One of the things I like about doing this podcast is I learn a ton. So it's like business coaching for me too.
Yes. Oh yeah.
But really, I think empowering people is such a huge part. Getting people excited about why come to work, why do what I do, regardless of the pay. Not the pay isn't important, but yeah.
I often say we get to do this work, not we have to do this work. We get to do this work. We get to serve a community of people. I will tell you, one of the things that is the most motivating as far as for me personally, and I think many in my team would agree with this, when you are working with the Parkinson's community and you have people that literally could take 30 minutes to have to get out of bed in the morning, 30 minutes just to sit up, put their feet on the ground because of their disease. And I can just get up and go. Yeah. I have no excuse for not giving my best every single day. And they are a constant source of motivation. I took a pedaling for Parkinson's class, and I had a couple 80-year-olds kick my butt.
Really? That's amazing.
And yes, really amazing for them, not for me. But all of these things, it puts life in perspective. And so my team, I can say all 8 of us are committed to do this work with our heart. This is much more than a job. Yeah. We truly care, and we know that the quality of life of many people is on the line. And so we're fortunate and blessed to be able to do this.
Yeah, and like you said, what a good reminder. That really
every day
really is. Very cool. Let's talk a little bit about your industry as a whole. So we talked about challenges personally or with the business and running the nonprofit. What about the industry? What are some challenges that you face in the industry? How do you deal with it differently? I'll let you go with that.
So looking at in the nonprofit world, again, many of the challenges we have, the staffing aspect, the funding aspect, if the market is great, donations could be up. Market takes a hit, we may have to make some adjustments. Yeah. Because Neuro Challenge serves the Parkinson's community, we're also part of the healthcare community. And there's a lot of challenges in healthcare. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that people are aware of insurance and reimbursements and access to quality healthcare, all of these things. So in our world of being a nonprofit and serving the Parkinson's community, one of the things that is projected to happen is that the number of people with Parkinson's is going to double by 2040.
Really?
Yes. So 20 years from now, it's going to double. And because there's already a higher concentration of people with Parkinson's in our community, because Sarasota is an older community, it's a high population of retirement community, and Sarasota is known throughout the country for having exceptional Parkinson-specific resources. So all of these things are going to mean that the picture here and Neuro Challenge's role is going to be different, and we're going to have a lot more demand over this next 20 years. So meeting those needs. Another challenge in our community, so there's already a shortage of neurologists. This is something that is across the country, across the world actually. The United States is in a better position than many other countries, but in our country, there's a shortage of neurologists. Well, there's a projected shortfall that's going to increase by 19% just in 5 years. So when you think of, we have the number of people with Parkinson's doubling, the number of neurologists decreasing, we have a problem. And so that means that people with Parkinson's are going to be relying on non-medical resources that are not their physicians, not their Parkinson's specialists, to find out about how they can treat their disease, how they can manage their disease, and how they can live well today.
Wow. Just out of curiosity, why is there projected to be double the amount of people with Parkinson's? Is that a population increase?
Population.
Okay.
A lot of it is attributed to population.
Okay.
So there's only two things that we know that cause Parkinson's at this point. There's a lot of research, but the two things that we know that can lead you to have Parkinson's disease is if you are of Ashkenazi Jewish descent, or if you have been exposed to pesticides. So Vietnam era vets, blue water veterans, they have higher incident rates of Parkinson's across the board. They also have higher incident rates of many other diseases because of their exposure to pesticides.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So those factors, those are like the only two things that we can really point to right now and say, oh yes, that can cause Parkinson's. Only about 15% of cases of Parkinson's are hereditary. So it's also not, okay, if your parents have it, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to get it.
Really? Huh.
Yes. It
Okay.
also means that you may not have it in your family at all, and you could end up with Parkinson's.
Okay.
So it's an unpredictable disease. It varies from person to person. Some people can live 30 years with Parkinson's, and some people may display aggressive symptoms after 2 or 3 years. So because it's such a dynamic and complex disease, again, it just makes it harder to treat. And when you have fewer specialists that are able to do this, because we talk about neurologists, neurology is a huge, huge field.
Right. That makes sense.
Parkinson's is
a lot
one
there.
little tiny sliver. And so there are movement disorder specialists, which is the most specialized you can get treatment for Parkinson's.
Okay.
So when you think of neurology as a whole, there's a shortage. You can imagine what the shortage of movement disorder specialists look like. So we're here to fill the gap. We're here to fill the need, and we are preparing. We are actively having these conversations about what is going to happen once this population, number of people with this disease explodes.
Yeah. Wow. I love the work that you guys are doing.
Thank
the
you.
conversations
Thank you.
we've had, the work we've done with you, it's amazing.
I appreciate it because it's often when I think back to before I worked here, how I knew nothing. What I knew about Parkinson's was Michael J. Fox had it, Muhammad Ali had it,
Yeah.
and they have tremors. And
Right.
yes, all those things are true, but there is so much more to this disease that makes it a challenge. And there's also so much more to this disease, and there are resources to live well. And so we have to make sure people know about this. So thank you for giving us the opportunity, because somebody's going to hear this who had no idea we exist.
Right.
And maybe their neighbor has Parkinson's, and they can connect them so they're not isolated.
Yeah, I bet. And I've heard you tell the stories about the isolation, the confusion, the fear, all of those things that go along with a diagnosis. And
Our ultimate goal at Neuro Challenge Foundation is to create a community of caring and support. So yes, we do that through educational support programs and therapeutic programs, but it's bringing people together. If you can imagine, one of the symptoms of Parkinson's is people can begin to talk softly and may actually lose their ability to speak. That majorly affects socialization.
Yeah.
And so we want people to be able to come together around people who get it. So they're not feeling self-conscious, or they retreat and they isolate because, I don't want to go to dinner with my friends because they can't hear me talking, and it's frustrating. This happens, and it happens a lot. And so the more people that we can connect, the better off they're going to be.
Yeah.
And so our programs do aim to educate, but our programs always aim to engage people.
That's good stuff. All right, back to the leadership kind of side of things. I'm curious if you, I'm gonna phrase this question maybe two different ways. If you either could go back and tell yourself something as a nonprofit leader, let's say 10, 15 years ago, whatever it is, what would you tell yourself? Or here's the other side of it. What would you tell someone who is newly starting as a nonprofit leader, or getting ready to start maybe their first go around and volunteering and kind of working their way up in that world? I'll let you answer
Sure.
both or either one of those questions.
Well,
what would you say?
So I'm going to answer both of them
Okay.
with one similar answer. So I actually just earlier this week did a presentation on networking and the power of networking. And 10 years ago, I didn't get that. And I also didn't have a high level of self-awareness. And so I wasn't aware of how I was perceived, perhaps walking into a room or in conversations or as a peer in an organization. And I had to really learn that. And I learned some hard lessons, and I'm still working on it. And I think I'll always work on it. But networking is critical. It's critical for the job you have now. It's critical for whatever you'll do in the future. Once I really wrapped my head around that, I have been able to soar professionally, but also for my organization. Yeah. I have been able to partner with, I more than tripled the number of partnerships that we have with organizations since I've been here for 3 years. And part of that is because I was tasked to grow the organization. And sometimes nonprofits are reluctant to partner and collaborate. And you have to get past that. We as nonprofit leaders have to get past the thought of another organization stealing our donors. Well, they're not our donors. It's we are one of their causes. Right. And so we have to do our job, which is stewarding our donors, educating our donors on the work that we do so they continue to support us. And in that process, collaborating with other organizations that let us do more work.
Right,
so,
because you're only going to be better when you're pulling together ideas, pulling together resources. Yeah,
absolutely.
That makes a lot of sense.
So I wish I would have learned that a long time ago. And anyone knew, whether you're either new to nonprofit, you're an emerging professional, or you're new to our community, get out and meet people. I don't care if you don't know anybody, just go meet them. It is amazing what just having a familiar face can get you. And so that's my 2 cents.
That's great advice. I mean, I think the same applies. It does a nonprofit business. I think sometimes we're too, especially in the world of social media, online marketing, all that stuff has its place, but just getting out and talking to people is huge. It's
relationships. It's relationships. Yeah. I can't even say, I mean, so much of the work that we do has been because of a connection, a common connection, a trust that has already been built. And so I think on a personal level that we all have to take a look at, what is our brand? Who are we? And how do people perceive us? And so all of those things together, I think I hope I answered those questions.
No, those are great. That was good. And good. It's just the not exciting advice, but it's the truth. You just got to get out there, do the work, meet the people.
Joel, I have people ask me all the time, because I do go to a lot of events. I do. And I post things on Facebook because, again, that's part of my job is to awareness of my organization. And people will say, gosh, you go to a lot of events. Like, what do you get out of that? They really, and I have a long list of relationships and partnerships. And quite honestly, in some cases, relationships that have turned into someone who's financially supporting our organization now, or a collaboration that's allowing us to serve more people without having to hire additional staff. And so some people just don't get it. And so the sooner you get it, the further you'll go.
Yeah, and then sometimes you'll just meet those people that are connectors. You find a couple of influencers or connectors, they can...
And one of the greatest things is to become the connector.
Yeah,
and so now I get to connect people. Yeah. And I love that, because that is a way for me to reciprocate for our partners. Hey, let me connect you to someone who may support you or want to volunteer for you or be on one of your committees. So needing the connections and then becoming the connector, I mean, that just puts you in a position where you're respected and people want to work with you.
Yeah, it's good. Well, we talked a little bit about this before, but where do you see yourself? Let's look into the future a little bit. Where do you see yourself as Neuro Challenge in 2 to 5 years?
So we're in the process right now of a very in-depth strategic planning process. It's a whole process. And we are determining that because we know that there is limitless need. So some organizations may say that there's a ceiling that they'll hit eventually. I have to tell you, there is no ceiling anywhere in sight. And it's because of the number of people that are out there that we haven't even begun to serve.
The need is there.
The need is huge, and it's going to increase. So we are looking at how we're going to grow. Are we going to be in other areas of Florida doing what we do now for the communities, going deeper in the communities that we currently serve, making sure that we're reaching as many people as possible in those communities and that we are serving them and giving them the resources and the tools that they need to get through this journey. That's our number one priority. We want to take care of home first.
Yeah.
And so those are the communities that we're currently in. But we know that there are people out there. I get calls all the time. How do we get a Neuro Challenge in Orlando? How do we get a Neuro Challenge in Lakeland? So we're evaluating how that would look in the future. And then also we're looking at more education for the medical community, because most medical professionals have minimal to no knowledge about Parkinson's, and that creates an issue. So that's what we're in the middle of right now. And what I can tell you is we will be serving more people. We will continue to do what we do well. And we are just going to put one foot in front of the other to try to meet as many needs as possible. So we'll know more once we get through this process, the strategic planning process. We are working with a consultant that's helping us guide our path.
Oh, that's good. I always like to hear leaders like you talk about what's the vision for the future, because there's always something.
There is.
And you always got to keep moving forward and have a direction that you're headed in. So,
and we'll be making a big announcement sometime, probably the end of October, about an initiative that we are going to be developing that will be significant and will increase our reach. Okay. And so stay tuned for
all right.
What that is.
Cliffhanger.
That's
there.
right.
We're ready.
Shameless plug.
Well, that's a good transition too. So if people want to get involved, whether that's donate, volunteer, how do they get involved? What's the best way to do that?
So they can call us at 941-926-6413, or they can visit www.neurochallenge.org. And if you love our website, it's because Joel and his team did it. And if you don't like our website,
it's because
Joel and his team. No, it's wonderful. It's easy to use. We get such great awesome feedback about it.
Thank you.
But I encourage anyone to go to our website, take a look at who we are, look at our financials, look that we are exceptional stewards of our donors' dollars. And if you want to get involved, you can get involved a little bit by volunteering for one event, or you can get involved a whole lot by maybe coming into the office once a week or once a month. But we have something for everyone.
Great. And actually, we didn't even mention, you do an expo.
We do.
Every year.
We do.
And it's a huge event. Tell us about the expo.
Huge event, yes. So 2 years ago, actually it was 2018, we had our inaugural Parkinson's Expo. So the Parkinson's Expo is a day-long event. It's an educational program for people with Parkinson's, their caregivers, and the healthcare community. And the event was created to educate, engage, and empower. Okay. And in our first year, we had over 1,400 people attend, making it the largest in the country.
Wow.
2019, we moved the event to the Bradenton Area Convention Center. Again, largest event in the country. So in 2020, amazing, we're holding it February 29th, again at the Bradenton Area Convention Center. And because it's in the middle of season, we're expecting that to have our largest crowd yet, that will break 1,500 people. Mm-hmm. The event is free for all to attend. It is free because of the generous exhibitors that are at the event. We have some of the country's thought leaders speak at the event. That's what makes the attendance so great. Last year, we had people from 15 states come to the expo.
Wow.
And 27 counties in Florida. So people will come from far places to be able to get exceptional information. And that event is the number one volunteer need that we have. And so we need volunteers the day before and the entire day of.
Okay. Good. Yeah, I love to hear that too, because that's the whole thing about this podcast is, right, you have a relatively small nonprofit that's growing.
Yes.
But you're doing big things. You're the largest Parkinson's event in the country.
Country, absolutely.
Right here. So that's amazing.
It is. And we're local. So what's raised here stays here. And so we're really excited and proud of that.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Robyn, for being
pleasure.
on the show. It's been good. I learned a lot. I'm sure those who are watching learned a lot as well. So
thank you.
It'd be good to have you on again sometime.
Hey guys, I'm Ryan. I'm the guy behind the scenes, and thank you so much for watching the podcast. If you want to watch more videos like this, make sure you click the like and subscribe button. And I also want to give a shout out to 81A Studios for letting us use the facility. If you want to learn a little bit more about them, make sure you go to 81astudios.com. Thanks.